Everybody, today we're back for the Talladega race. This is going to be a great race. I'm really excited for it. Talladega is a fun track. It's different. It's exciting. There's going to be a lot of wrecks. You're going to make lineups a lot differently than usual this week. Everything's just different this week. It's a fun race to watch. I'm really excited. I'm really excited for you guys to be here. This is going to be a race where you're going to have a lot of wrecks. You're going to have to make different lineup construction. I made a video the other day about lineup construction strategies, and I'll put that up here in the corner. If you guys want to check that out, I think it's very important, especially if you're new to NASCAR DFS or have never seen a Talladega race. You're going to be leaving some salary on the table. You're going to want at least 5 guys that have a ton of PD upside in your lineup, and then maybe even just all 6 if you want to go that route. But there's going to be a guy you want to have lead laps as well, in my opinion, but I wouldn't make all my lineups have a guy who starts towards the front. If you guys have been here a while, I've been noticing some views. I've been getting some love on these videos. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, turn on that notification bell, leave a comment. All that stuff really, really helps me out. Leave me feedback on how I'm doing, what I could improve, what I could get better at, what I'm doing well. So thanks for that. I also started a Patreon today. If you want to put that, I'll put that in the link in the description. To go check out some of my stuff. You'll get the spreadsheet and you'll get an article about every single driver, me breaking them down, what I think they're good at and whatnot, and my driver rankings. So if you're into that and you want to get on all that and want to have this giant spreadsheet I got here, just give it a check. Just check it out. So hit that subscribe for that too. That'd be really, really appreciated. All right, let's get into it. We got Chase Elliott, most expensive driver on the slate on Draftkings and FanDuel. 10,400 on Draftkings and 13,300 on FanDuel. He starts 11th today. At Talladega, he has an average finish of 10.75, which ranks 5th, and at restrictor plates of 20.25, which ranks 17th. His average running position at Talladega is 11.45, which ranks 8th, and his average running position at restrictor plates is 13.93, which ranks 8th. And he has 63 laps led at Talladega over the last 2 years and 104 restrictor plates. Now, I think Chase Elliott's okay here. I wouldn't play him on FanDuel because if you play FanDuel, the lap sleds point system is just not worth it. There's not going to be enough lap sled for that to really pay off. You're going to only want PD guys on FanDuel, so I would not play Chase Elliott over there. But on DraftKings, there is some upside with lap sled Chase Elliott. You might want a guy that's going to lead a bunch of laps if he's going to finish up in the top 5 to top 10. I think Chase Elliott can do that for you. I don't think he's the most likely guy to do it, but he can definitely do that for you. And he does have at least some PD floor starting 11th. But, I mean, if he finishes like 5th, it's not a ton of PD. So I want that place differential with pretty much all my drivers in this race, and I just don't think Chase really lives up to that. I don't think he has the most potential to lead all the laps and get all the dominator points. Up next, we got Joey Logano at 10,200 on DraftKings and 13,000 on FanDuel. Yeah, this is very, very warranted. He starts 9th. He has the best average finish at Talladega the last 2 years and the 5th best at restrictor plates. And he has the best average running position at Talladega and all restrictor plates, which is just Daytona and Talladega in the last 2 years. And he has 123 laps led at Talladega and 172 at restrictor plates over the last 2 years. So yeah, Joey Logano's been really, really dominant at this racetrack. There's a reason he's that expensive. I guarantee you he'll be up front leading laps. Him and his teammate Keselowski will be up there. You just gotta hope he doesn't get caught up in a wreck, because then you're screwed. But I think he might end up being the guy you need. If there's going to be a guy that you need inside the top 10 who's going to lead laps to be an optimal lineup, Joey Logano is my pick for that. There's a few other guys that I totally think could be that driver, but I really like Joey Logano this week. There's only 2, maybe 3 guys that I want to play that are inside the top 10, really inside the top 15. Logano's one of them. I think he's a good fine play here. Hopefully he doesn't crash out, but he should get up front and lead laps. He should be a force in this race, and I totally expect him to be up there at the end of the race. Up next, we have Ryan Blaney at 10,100 on DraftKings and 12,000 on FanDuel, and he starts 12th. Yeah, Ryan Blaney, I mean, he's been really, really good at restrictor plates over, especially the last 2 races. He had a 2nd in the 500, and he won it the last race at Talladega we were at. Overall, he only has the 10th best average finish at restrictor plates over the last 2 years, and the 10th best at Dega and 13th at restrictor plates. But his running position has been high. The 4th best at Dega and the 2nd best at restrictor plates, with 168 laps led at restrictor plate tracks over the last 2 years. So yeah, Blaney's still been really good. Maybe he's been getting caught up in some wrecks that have made his average finish dip a little bit, but that's not really what I'm looking for, because you're not really going to be able to predict the wrecks. I think Blaney's a great play here. I think he's got some PD upside, and he's got lap led upside. He has all of that. He's fine. I'd rather play him than Chase Elliott. I think he's a good play. I don't hate him. I think he could totally win this race. He's been running really, really well. It seems like he's got a win coming for him soon. This could be the race where he does it. I don't want to play like 2 of these guys at the top in any line. I don't want to play any 2 guys that start 15th or lower in any lineup together. It's just like one of them. And Blaney's a guy I could see putting in lineups. I'll definitely be playing some Ryan Blaney. He's got a ton of upside, could win this race, could lead laps. Next, we have Clint Bowyer at 9,900 on both DraftKings and FanDuel. So on DraftKings, he's expensive, but 9,900 on FanDuel is pretty cheap. And on FanDuel, again, we're just going for place differential upside. So guys like Logano still probably not a guy I want to play. And honestly, Blaney's probably not a guy I want to play. And Clint Bowyer starting 10th. I just don't think he's got the upside. I mean, his average finish hasn't been great here, but even his average running position is only the 12th best. And I just don't really expect Clint Bowyer to really get up front there and lead laps, win this race. I think he's okay. I think he's going to be low owned. No one's going to want to play him starting 10th, but I'm not going to really want to play him either. I don't think there's the upside there, but I mean, you never know. It is Talladega. Anything can happen. I don't think there's like maybe Truex, but other than that, like there's really nobody that you're just like, oh, there's no chance they're the best play they're a good play today. I mean, anyone can be. You just got to weigh your options and what you think is going to happen. And I don't think Clint Bowyer is really going to do enough to really pay off that salary, especially when I can just pay $100 less for Christopher Bell starting 35th. Yeah, Christopher Bell in his one race at Daytona in the Cup Series was a 21st place finish. Nothing special or anything, but I mean, he wasn't caught up in a wreck in that race and didn't finish well. 9,700 on DraftKings, yeah, it's expensive, but he's starting 35th, and you need these guys with the PD upside, and this is what you need to have. And even on FanDuel, 8,900, it's just, you're going to make lineups with salary left over. So in all honesty, salary to the point really doesn't matter on any of these drivers. It's just play the 6 guys you think are going to score the most points. Christopher Bell is one of the guys who think can score the most points. He gets a top 10, that's plus 25 place differential points plus his 10th place finish. So I think Christopher Bell is in a great spot here. He's got a good floor and he's got a high ceiling because he starts 35th. Anyone can win this race. Anyone in the field except for like Quinn Houff can win this race. So Christopher Bell's fine. I expect him to be chalky because he's the only guy in that 9K range that isn't starting inside the top 10. So, I mean, he's just the best play in that range for me. Up next, we have Brad Keselowski. Keselowski's a hard one. Keselowski, in like literally just about every single restrictor plate race in the past years has been caught up in a wreck. But he has also started on the pole. Or not started on the pole. Led a bunch of laps. 74 at Talladega and 113 restrictor plates over the last 2 seasons. So Keselowski cannot get caught up in a wreck. He's going to be a good play. I guarantee you he'll be up front at some point. He's a tough one. He's a fade for me on FanDuel. I'm not playing him on FanDuel. I'm not playing anyone starting inside top 10 on FanDuel. I already said that. But on DraftKings, if he can get up front and lead some laps, he could be okay. I could see myself playing like maybe 1 or 2 lines with Keselowski. But he's really not the best play. I still think Logano and Blaney are better than Keselowski here anyway, and I would rather play both of them because they have they have a little bit better of a floor. Kevin Harvick's a guy I'm not going to really want to play at 9,400 on DraftKings and 11,600 on FanDuel. Starts 5th. It just doesn't have good finishes at the restrictor plate races, just like Keselowski getting caught up in wrecks. He does have a good average running position at Dago of 2nd best and the 6th best restrictor plates, but like he hasn't really led a bunch of laps. If you look at 58 at Talladega and 78 at Daytona, I mean, they're good, but compared to Keselowski, compared to Logano, compared to Blaney, compared to even really Chase Elliott and Hamlin, I mean, it's just like I don't see Harvick really getting out front and just dominating this race. I mean, he could, but I think Harvick's probably going to be more of a fade for me on the slate. Along with Tootie's next stream, I'm going to talk about Kyle Busch and Martin Truex Jr. We're going to pair them together. Neither of them have been great at the restrictor plates, as you can see. Their numbers have not looked so solid. Not the best average running positions either. Kyle Busch has the 7th best at Talladega, so that's good, but Truex at 16. Just this is not their strong suit. It's the restrictor plate tracks. And a lot of people are going to say, look, you notice the Gibbs are starting 1, 2, 3, and they're going to get out to their early lead and dominate that early portion of this race. Well, if there's one guy, in my opinion, out of those 3 who's going to dominate the early portion of this race, it's Denny Hamlin. He's been the best series, led the most laps here. He's the only. I can't believe I'm interested in playing guys starting 2nd, but Denny Hamlin's just. He's dominated Daytona and Talladega the past few years. Him and Logano have been by far the best 2 at these tracks. And Hamlin could totally lead a bunch of laps and win this race. I mean, we saw him win the 500, and I still don't really know how he won that. What a great last turn pass on Blaney to win that race. It was insane. But, I mean, he has the 8th best average at Talladega, 6th at Daytona. The average running position hasn't been as high, but he has 117 laps led restrictor plates. Talladega definitely hasn't been as good of a track for Hamlin as Daytona has, but it's still restrictor plate track, and Hamlin can still lead the lap, especially from where he's starting. Not my favorite play. Again, all 3 of these guys fading on FanDuel. Like literally everyone in the top 10 not playing on FanDuel. Jimmie Johnson not playing on either. Hasn't been good here over the past 2 years. Hasn't led any laps over the past 2 years. Starts 4th. Nerfs no floor, no ceiling. Matt Kenseth, I don't understand why DraftKings keeps pricing him at 8,700. That's insane. What is the deal with that? On 7,400 on FanDuel, it's okay, but still starting 13th, you need the place differential on FanDuel. That's all you're shooting for on FanDuel is place differential. 8,700 on DraftKings, yeah, I mean, he can get up into the top 10, but I just don't think there's really a ceiling there, and he hasn't been running well this year, so I don't really expect him to run great here. Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch is a very interesting one for me on DraftKings. On FanDuel, I will not be playing him because he starts 7th, but on DraftKings, he's interesting. He does have the 7th best average finish at Talladega, 16th at restrictor plates, but he does have the 3rd best average running position at both Talladega and the restrictor plate tracks. So maybe he's just been getting caught up in some wrecks, which clearly that's what's happened because he's been running really, really well here. But the most interesting thing to me is the laps led. He has the most laps led at Talladega over the last 2 years at 129, and he has 153 at the restrictor plates. So Kurt Busch has been very, very good here. And if there's another guy inside that top 10 to top 15 and I'm interested in playing, maybe it's Kurt Busch. Could he get up front lead laps? Yeah. Could he wreck? Yeah. I'm sure one of these guys, I'm sure probably over half of these guys in the top 15 are going to finish worse than 20th. That's my opinion. That's just what happens at these tracks. This kind of stuff happens. But yeah, Kurt Busch, he's okay play. I've pretty much gone through everyone's side of top 10 except for Alex Bowman, who, again, I'm not going to play. He's just not been great here. If there's anyone inside top 10 I'm kind of interested in playing, it's Kurt Busch, Denny Hamlin, maybe Keselowski, but like not really. And then Logano's inside top 10, and then Blaney inside top 15. Anyone else up there I'm really not going to play. I don't think they have the potential to like lead laps and win the race, in my opinion. So, I mean, everyone has a chance to win this freaking race, but you can come in first place and lead one lap at this race, and you won't be in the optimal. I mean, we saw that at Charlotte with Keselowski. He wasn't in the optimal when he won. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 8,400 starting 20th. All right, here's where it's going to start to get a little more interesting. We're going to have to really start diving a little deeper into these drivers. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has been very good at Talladega and Daytona his whole career. These are his best tracks. Restrictor plate tracks have suited him in the Cup Series. And it shows. He has the 3rd best average finish at Talladega and the 9th best at restrictor plates. He has the 9th best average running position at Talladega and the 4th best at restrictor plates. So yeah, he's been a top 10 car pretty much everywhere he goes. And Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has won, I think, 2 of these races. Maybe only one or 2 races at the restrictor plates. And he always seems to find a way to be up front in leading laps. There is the chances Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He's very aggressive. He's wrecked a lot of times here. I've seen him wreck the field many times here. So there's always that possibility, but he has good floor, good upside, PD upside, place differential upside at 8,400, and I think that's fine. I think that's a good play for him right there. It's starting 20th. I like him, and even on FanDuel, you need the place differential upside. He's at 10,100 on FanDuel. That's scary. You don't want to play Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 10,100 on FanDuel, but you need the place differential points on that app. So Stenhouse, I think, is the way to go. I already talked about Bowman. We're gonna go to William Byron. 8,000 on DraftKings, 9,700 on FanDuel. Yeah, I think Byron's okay. I don't think he's great. He's like Keselowski, wrecked in every single race, but there have definitely been races where William Byron's been running up front. I mean, he's running up front to 500. His average running position is only the 11th best and the 14th at restrictor plates, which isn't fantastic, but he's still a fine play to me. I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's bad by any means, and the Hendrick cars have been so fast this year. He could just get up there front with Chase Elliott, his teammate, and ride around the front for the whole race. Byron needs to get a win in the Cup Series, and I don't see why Talladega can't be the place where it happens. And he's got the good floor starting 19. I think he's fine on FanDuel too. He's not the best play or anything, but it can happen. We got Matt Dibenedetto, 7,800 on DraftKings, 8,100 on FanDuel. Yeah, he's very underpriced on FanDuel. Starting 23rd. This one's interesting. Another guy who's been caught up in a lot of wrecks, but if you recall at Daytona 500 2019, Matty D was leading a bunch of laps. He was having a really good race going, and he got caught up in a wreck at the end that ruined it, I believe. And I know he had a good race. I don't know if he wrecked out of that one. But his average running position, nothing's really looked great for him, but the 21 car in the past has been very good here. Ryan Blaney's run very well here. Paul Menard's run very well here. I know those are 2 good plate racers, but I mean, I could see Matty D having a really good setup and having a really good race here. It's just all these guys in the back, it's just like some of them are going to be up there because they don't get caught up in wrecks, and some of them are. So it's really a crapshoot in all honesty, but there's definitely some guys who are better at these tracks than others. I mean, Dibenedetto's okay. We'll see if he gets ownership. I feel like Matty D somehow always finds a way to get ownership, so he probably will. But all right, here we go. Brendan Gaughan. Oh man, this is the guy who's on the cover. You see him flipping over, but bro, these tracks have. I mean, Brendan Gaughan only races the 4 plate races a year, and this is last year doing it. What better way to get Brendan Gaughan to win? No, I mean, he's probably not going to win, but he starts 39th, and 39th place for a guy who has the 13th best average finish at Talladega over the last 2 years and the 10th best at restrictor plates. The running position hasn't been great, but Brendan Gaughan finds a way to avoid wrecks and get up front at the end. Yeah, he went flying at Talladega last year. It was a wild wreck, but you want to know what place he was in when he went flying? He was in first place when that happened. So Brendan Gaughan knows his way around these tracks. He can run well. The car's not slow. It's going to be a decent car. He's going to be able to get up front and starting 39 for a guy who can easily finish in the top 10. Top 20 for sure. Ton of PD upside. He's only 7,600. Yeah, I mean, I know that looks expensive for Brendan Gaughan to be 7,600, but he's a good play. And on FanDuel, he's only 5K. So on FanDuel, he's like a lock, honestly. I mean, on FanDuel, you can really just go like a bunch of super cheap guys and be fine. But yeah, Brendan Gaughan looks fine on FanDuel for me, and on DraftKings, I really like him. I'm probably going to be playing a good bit of him just because he starts 39th. It's good place differential upside for a guy who seems to run well here. Up next, we have Bubba Wallace at 7,400 on DraftKings and 6,000 on FanDuel. Starting 24th. Bubba Wallace at these plate races, it's been okay. We saw him finish second in the 500s either last year or year before, so he's proven that he can run up front here. But for the most part, other than that race, it hasn't been like anything special for him. His best number here is the 12th best average finish at plate races, so that's pretty solid, but it's nothing crazy. He's a good floor guy. I don't expect him to be really popular. I guess I expect people to play Brendan Gaughan more than him at only 200 more, and I think I'd rather play him just because he starts 39th, and I think they both have the same upside, or the same, like they both can finish around the same area, and it's just, that's 15 more spots that Brendan Gaughan has over Bubba Wallace, so I'm not playing Suarez this week. Again, I just don't believe that car is good enough to hang around that pack. I could be wrong. I'm actually very interested to see how Suarez runs in this race. The 96 car has not been fast this year. It's not a good car. He's 7,300 on DraftKings. Yeah, he starts 37th, but I just don't expect him to really be able to hang around there, or he's going to get caught up in a wreck. But the 4,500 on FanDuel is interesting. I think that's very, very cheap, and he could totally pay off that. But on DraftKings, I'm just not too excited about Suarez. All right, Dillon probably is going to be chalky at 7,100 on DraftKings and 6,800 on FanDuel. Great on both sites. Starts 33rd. And Dillon's been good at the plate tracks. He has the 8th best average finish in the last 2 years at Talladega and 11th at the plate races. The average running position hasn't been great, but Dillon has found a way to just hang around, not getting caught up in all the wrecks, and he finishes high up at the end of the race. He's a good plate racer. Only 7,100 on DraftKings, 6,800 on FanDuel. He's got a ton of place differential upside, top 15, top 10 upside. I mean, obviously top 10 upside. I mean, average finish at 8th best average finish. So, yeah, he looks good to me on both sites. I don't see any reason why not play him. Erik Jones, 7,000 on DraftKings, 8,800 on FanDuel. Jones is okay. Jones won the Daytona 4th of July race 2 years ago. That was his first win of his career, but he only led one lap that race, so I don't really think he's like a guy who's going to get up front and lead a ton of laps. But other than that, his average finish at the plate race hasn't been good. 24th best at Talladega, 26th at Daytona, but he does have the 14th best average running position at Talladega. I think he's just been getting caught up in a lot of accidents, so, I mean, he could get up front there, but he just doesn't have as much of a floor as some of these other guys, and I don't think his ceiling's he's not great at these tracks or anything. Tyler Reddick's in literally the same exact boat. Doesn't have that win, but someone who I just don't really expect to get up front and win this race. I mean, he could, but 6,900 on DraftKings, 9,300 on FanDuel, starting 16th. There's the place differential upside's not there as much. However, Aric Almirola is somebody I am very, very interested to play this week. 6,800 on DraftKings. The 11K price tag on FanDuel is a little bit scary for someone starting 15th, but I think it's okay. I mean, he's tied with Logano for the best average finish at Talladega over the last 2 years, and second best average finish at the plate races. Aric Almirola has been great here. I mean, he's been great. These are his best tracks. He has, I know he has a win at Talladega. I don't remember if his other wins at Dega or Daytona, but both his Cup Series wins are at the plate races. So Almirola has been very, very good here. And he's only 6,800 starting 15th. He could even get up front and lead laps. I mean, Almirola is a good play here. I don't want to play two of Aric Almirola and Blaney, Logano, Hamlin, which is crazy because they're so much different in price, but I just don't want to play too many guys starting up front. But yeah, Almirola is the guy I'm going to have some ownership to, and I really think he might go low owned because everyone's going to play Ryan Newman. Ryan Newman at 6,700 on DraftKings, 8K on FanDuel is going to be chalky. I mean, and for good reason. Ryan Newman has the 5th best average finish at Dega and the 1st best at plate races over the last 2 years. And then you got the whole narrative card. The last time we saw Newman at the plate race, he almost died. Now he comes back. Everyone's going to want him to win. They see he's got good runs here. But chalk at Daytona, bro, or at Talladega, that's one you can fade, man. I'm telling you, because this race is so unpredictable. Literally anybody can wreck out. And yeah, the last 2 years have been solid for Newman, but if you would look at Newman's entire career at these plate races, he's been caught up in a multitude of bad wrecks over the course of his career. Just somehow always ends up in the wrong place at the wrong time. So I don't think Newman is like a guy that If Newman's not chalky, I'm gonna play him. But if it's Sunday morning and I'm just hearing a bunch of talk about Ryan Newman and I think he's gonna be super owned, I might just fade him because that's gonna give me a ton of leverage on the field without him. And the chances of everyone wrecking here are the same, and they're very high for everybody. So the chance of him really like dominating that salary. I mean, he's starting 14. It's not like he's starting 30. If he was starting like 30th, 25th, that'd be a different story. But 14, it's not like there's a ton of place differential upside there anyway. So he's okay. I don't think he's as good as everyone wants to say he is. And I mean, especially coming off like, one of the worst wrecks in NASCAR history, it's going to be a little different for him getting in this car at Talladega, I think. So up next, we got Corey Lajoie, 6,500. And this is another guy I think is going to be really chalky. Corey Lajoie's been in the last 4 optimal lineups at plate races. So people are going to be like, oh, he's going to do it again. But the difference is Corey Lajoie, in all those races, started at least 30th or worse. At least. So he's starting 25th today, which, I mean, isn't like that big of a difference. But, again, chalk at Daytona and Talladega. The fact that he hasn't been, last 4 races hasn't been caught up in a wreck, I feel like that's just like regression to the mean. That's going to change. I mean, it's about time for him to get caught up in the wreck. And I could be wrong. Maybe he's just good at avoiding crashes, but I don't think that's the case. He does have the 11th best average finish at Talladega and 15th at the plate races, but I just don't think, like, if he's chalky again, it's another guy I want to fade. Like, I don't want to play to chalk here. This is a race where everyone has like equal chances to win this race, and if there's someone who's going to be chalky, I think it's worth a fade. Unless it's like, one of the top guys like Logano starting in the very back, but none of that's happening. So I think Lajoie is a good fade option here. Michael McDowell, but if he's not chalky, I think he's a good play. Like, I do think Lajoie is a good play. It's just if you're playing tournaments and you're GPPs and you're playing the ownership game, I think that there's reason to fade all the chalk, or at least like only have one chalky guy in your lineup, something like that. Michael McDowell, 6,300. I mean, he's fine. I mean, again, like if you want to pivot off to chalky Lajoie, I think McDowell, Priest, and Custer are all viable options. By the way, Lajoie 4,000 on FanDuel though is a great play. That's fine. He's so cheap there that's okay. He's going to be chalky over there, but I do think that's better than the 6,500 on DraftKings. But McDowell, 4,500 FanDuel, 6,300 DraftKings. I think both are fine plays. McDowell, I mean, he just doesn't feel like he has the upside. He hasn't really run too well at the plate races or Talladega over the past few years, but he's okay. He's a solid play, solid option. I just don't think he's got really a ton of upside to get really, really up front. But if he avoids wrecks, he avoids wrecks. And if he outscores Corey Lajoie, that's huge. So, same with Ryan Preece. I think both of them are viable options off Lajoie. And Ryan Preece is the 3rd best average finish at Talladega over the last 2 years. That's really good. I mean, I know it's only 2 races, but that's still really, really well. It means he's run very, very well here. 6,200 starting 31st. Ton of place differential upside for someone who has proven they can run well here. I think that's a good option here. I think if Lajoie gets chalky, McDowell and Priest are very good pivots off them. And even Priest on FanDuel at 7,200 is fine. Then we got Cole Custer starting 28th. Custer just hasn't looked good at all this year, but he is in a good car. But he did not look good during the Daytona race before he wrecked out. Anyway, I don't think that the upside is really there for him, especially on FanDuel at 7,800. It's too much. I think he's okay on DraftKings. I mean, again, if he just outscores those 3 above him, then and Dillon below him, he's huge. But I don't know. I just don't think Custer's really gonna be up there at the end of the race. Even if if there's not a bunch of wrecks, I don't see Custer being up there at the end. I mean, if there's a bunch of wrecks, yeah, who knows? But I'm not huge on him this week. Up next, we have Austin Dillon at 5,800 on DraftKings and 8,500 on FanDuel. Austin Dillon's expensive on FanDuel, so that's not a place I want to be going starting 17th. But on DraftKings, he's 5,800. He's looked really good this year, and Dillon hasn't been terrible at the plate races over his career. I mean, 7th best average finish in the last 2 years at the plate race. He does have a Daytona 500 win 2 years ago, and he does have the 11th best average running position at the plate races. But I think he's better at Daytona than Talladega, but they're so similar, you can't just say, oh, he's so much better at Daytona and Talladega, I'm not going to play him at Talladega. Like, no, that's not how it works for these kind of tracks. But 5,800 for him, I mean, that's really cheap. It's just he doesn't have as much place differential upside as some of the guys around him, and I'd rather play to place differential upside guys. But yeah, Austin Dillon's been fast this year. He could totally get up front. Even lead some laps. I mean, he was leading at Daytona in the 4th of July last year when he wrecked the whole field, but he was up there, so he was running well. Chris Buescher, 5,600. I really like Chris Buescher on DraftKings. On FanDuel at 7,900, maybe not as much, but Chris Buescher is the 4th best average finish at the plate races. So that shows you that he's been very, very good here. He's found ways to get up towards the front at the end of the race, and he's only 5,600, and he's starting 21st. That's a guy who could get up front and beat a guy that you really need to play. And I mean, he's in a very good car in a 17 for Roush Fenway Racing. he could have Newman set up, which has been very, very well, clearly, at the Dega races, although I know they're have a new package this year, so maybe that's really not as big of a deal, so maybe ignore that. But Buescher looks like a good option. John Hunter Nemechek starting 22nd. We've only seen him race one race in the Cup Series in the plate races, and he finished 11th, so he looked good that race, but he really was the product of just a bunch of wrecks and him being in the back whole race. But at 5,500 starting 22nd for a guy who can finish top 10, yeah, that's fine. I think all these guys are fine. It's just so hard with these place differential drivers of who to play. And none of these guys are really going to be able to get up front, except for maybe BJ McLeod. He's 3,000 on FanDuel, which you're not going to need that because you're not going to be playing any of the top salary guys anyway, but still. BJ McLeod, this is not a normal BJ McLeod race. Usually I'm never going to ever suggest BJ McLeod. But he's driving a different car this week. He's not in his own team's car for BJ McLeod Motorsports. He's driving the number 77 for Spire. They've run well here. I mean, they won the race at Daytona last summer, but like that got rained out. They shouldn't have won that race. Haley should not have won that race. But at Daytona earlier this year, Ross Chastain was having a really good run, and he wrecked, but he was having a good run before that. So he's in a better car. He's so cheap. I don't think BJ McLeod's really that great of a play because I don't think he really has the upside to finish that high up. And because you're going to be leaving salary on the table anyway, it's just not really worth it in my opinion to play him. But if you want to get fancy and play him, I don't hate it. I think there's viable options for playing BJ McLeod this week. Wouldn't it be wild if he won? So yeah, I mean, if this was a week where you're normally filling up your salary, then yeah, that's a different story. But we're not. There's going to be so much left over. I mean, you're probably just going to be able to go 1,000 more to get Chris Buescher, and I'd just rather do that in all honesty. But yeah, that's pretty much all the drivers for today. We went through a driver by driver. If you guys are interested in the Xfinity Series, I'm going to be making a video not long from now that'll be out later today as well for the Daytona or Talladega race tomorrow in the Xfinity Series. Hope you guys really, really enjoyed this. If you want to give me a follow on Twitter or on Instagram, I'll put Twitter is at DFS Nate Lane and Instagram's at Nate Lane _. I will put them in the description below, as long with my Patreon. If you guys want to sign up for that, that would be awesome. Very, very appreciated. As always, leave a like, leave a comment, hit that subscribe, turn that notification bell. All that stuff really helps me grow. I've seen some good growth in the last few months, and I just want to keep going. Talladega is going to be a fun race. It's going to be a wild race. I hope this video helped you out. Not as much data to be used in this race as other races, but it's a fun race, and I hope you guys really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys have a great weekend, and good luck to all of you.